Hi, everyone. Welcome to Samba Souq, the podcast that we talk about global expansion. And I'm very happy to have a very special guest today, Sultan Al Shaali. Thank you, Sultan, for coming here.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's our pleasure as well.
Thank you.
I want to tell you more about our podcast, which is all about global expansion, investments, go-to-market in vibrant markets. We connect LATAM, MENA, and everything in between. And we had a very good conversation last time. I know you have so many stories, supporting businesses to come here. But actually, your journey is very interesting because you started in a family business that positioned UAE very well in the world in manufacturing of yachts, right?
Yes, correct.
So can you tell us a little bit more about you?
A little bit about me, yes. I started at a young age. My father encouraged me to work even during summer holidays.
Oh, wow. No vacation whatsoever.
Yes, there are vacations, but utilize the time. And I think it's what he imprinted in us as his children is his entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
So we learned a lot from him, and we tried as much as possible to continue. So definitely started working with him at an early age. My first full-time job was at the age of 17, while I was still in university.
Wow. What were you doing at that time?
I was actually setting up a bookstore.
Wow. And by the way, before you continue, you actually have a very nice book called Bureaucrazy, right?
Okay.
So that was that was
Books
meant to
aside,
be.
yeah. Again, we're talking about 25 years ago, so
Yeah.
there's a big
Big gap,
time
but it was
difference, yeah.
maktub. It was meant to be.
You know what? I love how you use that term correctly. Maktub. Yes, it was
Good.
written.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And yes, I went from that in different stages. And even before working, I still remember during my holidays when I would spend my time with my father, he will take me early in the morning to construction sites. I remember I used to complain. Maybe back then, I don't know if I was just lazy or tired, but to climb up 18 floors of a
Wow.
building he's building
Oh my God.
without realizing at that age
Yes,
what kind of an achievement it is.
that's true. And it's teaching soft skills, not only, how to conduct things, but, resilience, being on the field.
It's teaching without instruction.
Yeah, I love that. Teaching without instruction. That's true.
It's like if someone wants to teach you how to swim,
Just throw them in the water.
yeah, exactly. They might just throw you in the water.
Yeah.
They don't care if you're afraid of sharks or not.
Yeah, you're going to find a way. Hopefully. Inshallah.
You better do.
Exactly.
It's, as they say, sink or float.
Yeah. And then you started in Ajman, right?
Yes, Ajman is my hometown.
Yeah, and now you also do things in Dubai and across the UAE, and
Yes.
always related to public sector, private sector, then NGO. So actually, you have a very diverse background.
Yes, I do. And it's a bit complicated to explain, but you're right. Because usually people start their career in the public sector and then they retire and move to the private sector. For some reason, my life had a different path than the usual. So I started in the private sector. And I worked in the private sector. And it was, as I said, a family-owned businesses in
Yeah.
different industries. So we worked in yacht manufacturing, aluminum extrusion, glass tempering. We went into construction. We went into education. We went into hospitality, and then went into the government for a good few years. And from there, I also went to non-government organizations, and I worked with so many people around the world, not just in the UAE.
Yeah. And that is very important for our podcast, because we connect markets. We see, global expansion is a very dysfunctional process. And there is no one size fits all. So it depends on many different situations, cultures, context, macroeconomic, company stages. And your experience will be very interesting for us to explore companies that came to the Middle East from different nationalities, how they actually set up the foundation and grew here, lessons, do's and don'ts. And I want to start, before we delve into that, with a very important quote in your life. Now that you had this diverse background, we don't need to go over here all the things you did in the government, but that was very entrepreneurial as well, the things that you developed. So what is one quote that shapes who you are today?
I'm going to answer the last question.
Oh.
With the first question
Okay.
that you're asking. Two quotes, actually.
Yeah.
One from Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, and of course one of our best mentors.
Yeah.
When he said the highest risk is not to take a risk.
Very true.
The second is hopefully gonna now cross off one more question off your list. By Nelson Mandela. Courage is not what you do without fear, or in the absence of fear. Courage is actually what you do
Despite
the fear.
Yeah. I resonate a lot with this one. Yeah. With all of them, like I get very inspired with quotes in general. But definitely, for you to be
quotes are beautiful.
Yeah.
But you have to keep in mind who's saying them also. Add value to the quote.
True.
If you heard this from someone just off the street, you might say,
yeah, okay. Yeah, you don't give the value that is required to give, right? Because you know the journey that person took.
You don't know.
No, I mean, when it's Sheikh Mohammed
or
Nelson
Mandela, yes, you know. But that's the other point. You don't know the journey that someone walking on the street did.
Yeah. But so this is interesting. You don't know the journey of someone around the corner saying that. But you also don't know fully the journey of people that you kind of know somehow part of the journey, right? So we see from the outside what Mandela faced, what Sheikh Mohammed and all the leaders here in the UAE, but we never know everything that it took for them to build the nation, to build what they built so far. And they will still continue building, right?
Of course.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
And we might never know.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Only
but
who rolls the sleeves.
Learn by the example.
Yeah.
Follow the lead. Okay. Yeah. You're talking about, if you're talking about the UAE, since establishment, by the way, we are one of the youngest countries in the world.
Yeah.
Right. We're not even half, 10% the age of some of the other countries.
Yeah.
Yet we have good leadership, wise governance, and a proper way to collaborate, not only internally, but also internationally.
Yeah.
We have 180 plus nationalities living in the UAE.
Yeah.
And do you know that we are not, as Emiratis, we are not the majority
Yeah, exactly. What,
of
10,
occupants?
11%, right? Yeah.
So how does this happen if you don't have a good system, if you don't have a good structure
Yeah.
that is welcoming? And again, there's a good quote. It's in Arabic though. When someone asks Sheikh Zayed, may he rest in peace, uh, why are you opening the doors for everyone to come and live and work in the UAE? He said, why not?
Exactly.
It's God's land, it's God's air, it's God's sky,
Yeah.
and we are all God's creature.
Yeah. And you give people opportunity.
And we work together.
Yeah.
And look at the difference. Look
Yeah.
at the difference. I mean, if you Google UAE and search for some of the videos,
Yeah.
you can see the difference.
Yeah.
You can see videos of 25, 30, 40 years ago
Yeah.
and today.
And I'll tell you something, because this is exactly what I was thinking of driving all the way here. You know, in the West, we have one ruling structure that is like majority, right? Each country has its own, but usually, you know, the democracy thing that everyone says and so on. And here is a different ruling structure. But countries that they also have similar ruling structures, they are not as successful as the UAE. And to me, I think this is a very rare combination here in the UAE, because it's based on strong values and it's based on an ownership mindset. Because you know, let's protect and let's bring longevity for whatever we're doing, because this is ours, and we're going to accommodate because we want people to thrive, to prosper here as well. You only think this way when you have strong values that is passed throughout generations. And I think that this you cannot replicate anywhere. You have to be very lucky to have some leadership that thinks this way when you see what's happening in the world. And I think that this is a very unique place to be throughout the years.
Do you know what the UAE was called before it was united?
If I know, I forgot. Tell me.
Under the British rule, it was called the Al-Imarat al-Mutasalaha, the Consolidated Emirates.
Oh, really? I don't remember this part. I've been to so many places telling the story, but...
So the consolidation happens by getting all of the tribes,
Yeah.
all of the ruling families from different emirates, from different cities.
Yeah.
And by the way, maybe a lot of people don't know, when the UAE was established, it was not a liberation, it was an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a peaceful announcement of the UAE. And Qatar and Bahrain were actually part of the Emirates. So now we are 7, but we used to be 9.
Uh-huh. So they actually kind of joined for a
They
while.
were there, yes.
I remember they were invited. I don't remember
No,
if
no,
they joined.
they did sign at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
But then every one of them had their own different mindset, let's say.
Yeah.
Yet we all thrived together.
Yeah.
You know, so after that, I'm talking about 1971. I wasn't even born back then, but these are stories I've heard from my parents and my grandparents. And back then, I think there is also a British historian who was counting how many tents are set up on the coast versus how many tents set up inside the desert, because the British are very good in this.
Yeah.
And I think the number was 17,000
Wow. That's a lot.
people.
Ah, people. Okay, I thought it was tents. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
And now we're talking about what?
Yeah, in terms of people in
Population
the UAE.
living
Yeah.
in the UAE,
I think it's reaching 13 million very soon, if not already,
if not more.
because it's growing so fast. My last update is 11 million and a half, I guess.
Whatever update you have is gonna be wrong in
Exactly.
in 10 minutes.
Exactly. I agree.
We have the busiest airport in the world.
Yeah.
We have the busiest seaports in the world. We have the most active, not only a businessman, but also political man, but also social. I don't want to use the term again, entrepreneur. No, I would say intrapreneur.
Yeah.
People changing things from the
Yeah.
inside.
Because it's all about the mindset, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Whatever you are, if you are working for someone or if you have your company, I agree. So, with that in mind, we discussed before, like, it was such a nice conversation. You gave me so amazing stories, brought me many laughters as well. And I want you to talk about like cultures and different nationalities coming to the UAE to set up, to land and expand from the UAE to the region, to the world. A few cases you mentioned about the Chinese, the Italians. So what can you share with us in terms of like nice stories?
You already mentioned the Chinese and the Italians, and I think these are definitely people we don't want to offend in any way. But yes, the Chinese influence, actually the entire Asian influence. Remember, the UAE is more connected by sea to Asia, right? My great-grandfather's house is actually built in a Chinese style.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was one of the first sea traders who used to trade with China.
So he got inspired. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
However, yes, it did influence,
Yeah.
but it did not just influence him. Before the formation of any entity here, before the United Arab Emirates, before Qatar, Bahrain, actually it was the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and I think maybe Kuwait, I'm not sure. They used to deal in the Indian rupee.
Yes, I remember.
Until they all actually decided.
I was not here to see, but I remember from the places
I'm
I've
pretty
been.
sure you were not here. That was too long ago. But yes, they decided at one point to create their own currency. And that was one of the segues that was leading the unification of the states here.
Yeah.
So the influence definitely came more from Asia because by proximity.
Yeah.
And this was the earlier stages. To a certain extent, by the way, we still even wear and wear clothes that are actually from Asian culture and use some terms that are actually Asian, not Arabic. Until now, if you go and meet a lot of maybe my generation, even a generation above, ask them how much is that. They're not gonna say 10 dirham. They're gonna say 10 rupiah.
Oh, really? They'll say that? Wow, that's interesting.
Referring to rupees.
Yeah.
Which is the Indian currency, which was used here. So it's still embedded in us.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And we talked about other cultures. When we talked about the Italians, for example, I told you how fascinated I am with the Italian culture because they are loud.
Yeah, it's a very part of the stereotype.
As people, they are beautifully loud. They know how to sing, they know how to dance, you know, and everything.
Loud in a good way, yeah.
Loud in a good way.
Yeah.
But as a culture also, we just had pizza with my kids this afternoon.
One of the best things from Italy, for sure.
Easy, immediately. Okay. Worst case scenario, what's your comfort food? Pizza, spaghetti.
That's that's comfort food. You defined so beautifully. Italians, you have comfort food. You don't have pizza or spaghetti. You have comfort food.
How did they brand it as comfort food? Okay, because if you also look at the culture, Italians are one of the most complex peninsula in the world.
Yeah.
Yet, how did they work with each other internally?
How? I don't know. You tell me.
I don't think anyone knows. No, they fought. They had wars.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I was reading this article a couple of days ago after the announcement of the new pope, and they said, by the way, entire Rome was actually under the Vatican.
Yeah.
And when the Romans asked the Pope to surrender it, he said, over my dead body.
Oh, yeah. This I remember.
And he ended up having the smallest city in the world. However, it's still the most influential. The transaction that happened, the way that people interacted with each other. I was trying to explain to my kids just a little bit about the art history and how much influence it had over the entire world.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful. Yeah.
I did not see the Mona Lisa until today.
Okay.
But everyone that I spoke to who went to see the Mona Lisa in the Louvre was complaining about how small it is.
Yes, I
You've seen it?
I've seen it, and it was a bit of a disappointment.
Right?
I must confess. Yeah.
Because the stigma, and everyone is explaining it in such a way, you would think that it's 10 meters.
Yes. In my opinion, it's not only because it's small, because it's rich of content and rich of information, that you can extract, but it's the whole setup. It's so protective. So you have like a glass, then you have the fence, which you have to have, of course.
Fine.
I understand.
Fine, to protect
many
it.
people around. So the experience for you to really contemplate on that piece of art, regardless of the size, it lacks a lot, like a good experience. This is something interesting here, because everywhere you go, despite how historical things are, but the experience that you get from any touristic places, any museums, anywhere you go in the UAE is top notch. It's outstanding. And, so I think that cultures need to learn from each other.
I'm going to say alhamdulillah, but maybe you say touch wood.
Yes, of course.
Yes, our people are good in that, definitely. Yeah. And they've learned, and they've actually, everyone in the UAE, whether it's in the public sector or the private sector or non-profit, always adhere to certain standards or even try to set higher standards.
Yeah, people here always aim higher in a good way, of course, because we want to improve, we want to enhance things, we want to make things better.
And
I'm saying we because I feel part of it. I
yes,
live here
of
as
course,
well, right?
and
We are
I'm so happy.
inspired.
I'm so happy that you're talking in that way, because there's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. The UAE is, yes, competitive, and yes, with the leadership we have, we always want to be number one. We always want to do the best. However, we don't hate anyone else trying to do the same. On the contrary,
Yeah.
we are actually one of the only countries that contributes freely. And this may be something a lot of people don't know, but we have government entities mandates to help other governments develop their services, develop their governments.
And actually, there is a sentence from Sheikh Maktoum that he says, we have built the foundation and the infrastructure in this country for everyone to do well. So everyone has all that it takes in the UAE to perform in life, to achieve your biggest dreams. This is a place that you're going to aim higher and build the future that you dream for yourself. So I always have this in mind. That's why, because this is for everyone that is transiting here, that is living here, that are from different nationalities as well, because that's what the leadership also wants, right?
I think it's much bigger and beyond that. Every time we think we understand what's happening here, we are surprised.
Yes, that's
with
true.
the new things that happen.
Yeah.
And I will quote, I think, one of the British I'm not sure if it was BBC or one of the journalists who asked Sheikh Mohammed 2 years in a row, how much of your goals have you achieved in the UAE? So first year he said, I think, 19%. Second year, she asked him the same question. He said 11%. She's
Wow.
like, hold on. Last year, you told me a different number. He's like, yes, because our ambitions are growing.
Yes. People would expect, from 18, 19 to 50%. No, actually went down.
It went down because
you have more ambitions.
Because we have more ambitions and bigger goals.
Yeah.
As I said, we started with a country that was 18,000 people.
Yeah.
And now we're almost 12 million.
Yeah. Amazing.
And as I said, I think more than 200 nationalities.
Yeah.
Living in peace.
Yeah.
And working with each other.
Yeah. And what do you think people get wrong when they come here with the business to do business, to set up here? As you know, I'm Brazilian, and I think that we should exchange more, with Brazil and Brazil with the UAE. So I think that in different cultures, you always have learnings and you can benchmark things. But across the board, I feel that many people still get things wrong about setting up here. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have, a lot more businesses that we would know from outside. And I want to know, what's your take on this?
Okay, so number one, I think to non-Brazilian audience.
Yeah.
Kindly note that, where's the camera? There? Okay. Please note that official language of Brazil is Portuguese and not Spanish.
Yes. Thank you. Shukran jazilan.
Okay, so let's start with that.
Yes.
Knowing each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you come here also, our first language is Arabic, not English.
Yes.
Even though I'm talking in English.
Yeah. 99% you find people speaking English, but the official language is Arabic.
Actually, most people here, if you're talking about an older generation, they are bilinguals,
Mm-hmm.
but they speak Arabic and Hindi or Urdu, and then
English.
English.
Wow.
The second generation now, I'm so sorry to say this, but I'm pretty sure you guys have the same issue. They speak better English than their native tongue.
Yeah, Brazil is not there yet, but I think that in the urban cities,
Trust me, with YouTube,
yeah, it will get there very soon.
again, not branded content, huh? So we're not marketing for anything
No, it's not yet.
yet.
Inshallah, soon it will be.
If they pay you, I'm more than happy to talk more. But
Yes.
understand one key fact will make a big difference, right? Like now, as a Brazilian, did you ever think that an Emirati will know that you actually speak Portuguese and not Spanish? Because it's to us when they say Latin America, everyone assume that they talk.
It's a Spanish first thing
Spanish,
because
yeah.
Latam, all countries there speak Spanish. We're the only ones that speak Portuguese. Yeah. But to be honest, I know many Emirati people, men and women, and you guys are so wise. You have an understanding of the world. And I don't have that much of an issue usually when I talk to Emirati people because you know our country, you know Brazil, you know we speak
I
Portuguese.
still haven't been. I haven't been.
Despite you not being there.
I haven't been to South America, to be honest.
Yeah, but we'll take care of this. When you come, we're going to show you. I told Omar. Omar was here with us in the other session as well. It was such an amazing conversation. And I told Omar, we're going to feed you. We're going to show you all the fruits, the good stuff, the junk food, everything you want to try, the sweets. We do have many of them here in the UAE now, so which is very good. One of them, very known now, it's the açaí. We have pão de queijo, which is the cheese bun. We have brigadeiro, which is it's like the chocolate, like sweets. We can even make that out of dates. So it's like a nice blend. So we do have that. But, I usually feel Emirati people, like from different walks of lives, they know how to prepare themselves because you are a tolerant nation. So you listen before you talk, you observe, you learn from others. This is embedded in your DNA, I feel, and that helps you with diplomacy, with cross-border relations, with opportunities you see elsewhere, and you make it better when you bring here. So I totally see this in the Emirati culture. And other countries, other cultures, they do sometimes know that we speak Portuguese. Sometimes they say that we speak Spanish. Yeah.
Or sometimes they say you speak Brazilian. I heard this one time.
It's true,
like, what's Brazilian?
Yeah, you know that in Portugal they say that we speak Brazilian, although it's the same. So it's Brazilian Portuguese, but to make it easier, they say you speak Brazilian.
and even I've watched this lovely interview of this Mexican lady who had a restaurant, and she had a visitor from Spain. And she's like, oh, ¿cómo estás? She's like, where are you from? She's like, oh, Spain. She's like, oh, you speak Spanish. But your Spanish is broken. The Mexican lady was telling the Spanish lady
that
your Spanish is broken.
Oh, my God.
Okay. So look at the culture. Look at the history of it.
Yeah.
Because why do those countries speak those languages? Why does part of Canada speak French while the other part speak English? Why does America speak English while Mexico speaks Spanish? Why does Brazil speaks Portuguese while the rest of South America
speaks Spanish?
Speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the influence of the culture. It's the influence of the dynasties. And to be more specific, politics aside, it was the influence of trade.
Yes. Well, and about trade, you know a lot, right? Because your family business grew from
Business
there.
aside, yes, but again, going back to history,
Yeah.
how many, how did England rule almost, I think, one third of the world?
Yeah. Yeah. Trade
Trade.
was
Trade.
exactly
It was the transatlantic trade cooperation or something,
because
and
of
then you had
trade.
Holland
Yeah.
as well, and then you had Spain
France as well.
and France
Yeah.
and Portugal, and if those companies succeeded, South America would be speaking French.
Yeah. Yeah.
African countries, you still have some African
They do
countries
speak French
speak
in a few
French.
countries.
Yes,
Yeah.
because France actually succeeded there.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna go back to, as I said, to history and look at how things happened, it wasn't a political issue. It was always about
Yeah.
economy and trade.
Trade was actually the drive for these nations that started, like going places. That was the drive for them to move forward and explore.
Yeah.
If that was not trade, what would be, right? So yeah, trade makes a very important plays a very important role in the world, and that also reflects on the UAE because what I see many times when we talk about global expansion, you have many people coming here for fundraising. That is part of global expansion, depending on the type of business and so on. But people, what I feel is that when they come here, they need to understand this is more like a trade approach, a more commercial approach initially that can eventually become, an equity play. I don't know how you see that. This is based on people that I interacted, but that's what I feel like. People come here like I want to raise money and then go back to my home country to continue expanding. It's different. We want to develop this nation, this economy, and bring things to commercialize
No,
here.
sure. I'm sorry, sure. Hold on. Let me understand this correctly. Uh, there might be a misconception that people might land in the UAE, and I heard this from someone who never been in this region. He was a shipmaster, and he's like, I thought when we will dock our ship that your docks will be paved with gold.
You must know so many stories like
I
that.
was like, oh, hold on. He's like, yes, we heard about Dubai. We heard about Dubai. We heard about the UAE. We heard. I was like, but again, do you think even if you heard of the richest person in the world, do you think he would ever be giving money out
Yeah,
without a purpose?
exactly. Now I know where you're going with the yeah.
So, uh, don't get me wrong. Let any visitor from Brazil or any country in the world come to the UAE and knock at any Emirati door, or even non-Emiratis, because I think we also have embedded this in our culture, and say, I need a place to sleep or I need something to eat. No one is going to say sorry.
Yeah, true.
But to come and say, I need $100 million, you must come with a good business plan.
Yeah.
You must come with an idea that's been proven and can be applied. Now, if you want to apply it here, it's a difference. There's a difference. If you want to bring investors in to the UAE, it's the most accommodating place. We are one of the first countries in the world where you can issue a trade license instantly.
Yeah.
We went down when I used to work with the government. We reached 15 minutes. Now we have instant trade license that will take you a minute
Wow.
over your phone to get your trade license.
Amazing.
1 minute to get your trade license, 2, 3, maximum 5 minutes to get your bank account open. Within less than 24 hours, you can have an operating business here. So what else are you looking for?
Yeah, that's true.
Partnerships, relationships. That takes time. It's not going to happen immediately.
Yeah. If it's too fast, for sure you may encounter problems in the future, right? So you have to trust the person, to engage with them, to see how you both work together. And that's part of the time that it takes.
Again, there is no rule of thumb. There is no like one size fits all philosophy for it. Some people might be successful by just walking in with a concept or a product. Some people it might take some years to achieve what they want. But understand the culture. And the good thing about the UAE, it's a very good testing platform to take anything global.
Yeah.
Because you have all nationalities, different categories, different criterias of people, ethnicity, age, income level, education level. It's almost a perfect mix for you to test something before going global.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, I think, is a bit difficult for a lot of people, because you are not coming to just a tent with Arabic hosts who are going to give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
You're actually coming to a country now that has 18 million tents with different nationalities and different people. However, if your concept succeeds here, it can easily go global.
It paves the way to so many other continents and countries, right?
Definitely.
I've seen companies here starting in the UAE, Brazilian concepts and others, and expanding to Armenia. Like out of the region, let's say maybe they expanded to Kuwait and Saudi. Then the next country was Armenia. I would never guess. Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of being here, because it's a display to the world.
It's a display to the world.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah. And then let's not forget the basic rules of trade, supply and demand.
Yeah.
You might be oversupplying something, and like you said, Armenia needs it. Right?
Yeah.
But maybe Armenia does not have access to the city in Brazil that is actually manufacturing that product.
Yeah, they would never know about that product or service because they are not in Brazil, but they are in global hubs like the UAE.
Exactly.
And that is the display to the world, because they had the opportunity to encounter that, right?
So it becomes a segue, a beautiful segue.
Yeah.
Don't forget, above all that, it's. I'm not going to say it's a tax haven, but in compared to most of the other countries, this is one of, if not the best place to set up a business.
What I believe is that the UAE, it's in a mature stage now. So the macroeconomic context shifted, and it's entering a more scale-up environment. That's why you need to have some certain adaptations, and there is the implementation of tax. But I believe that it will always be the most competitive in the world, despite how many new reforms or things that happen that will shape the economy. It will always remain very competitive when you compare to other markets, because that's how it's always going to be pro-business.
Definitely. We are service-driven. And this is also, if you go back to one of the famous quotes from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid is like, I want our government hospitality to be better than hotels
Yeah.
and services to be better than private sector. I mean, he is not setting just a small benchmark. He's actually pushing the government to move out of the traditional way and provide better services.
Yeah.
And again, I can tell you a lot of stories about those, but we'll need another
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 session.
episode for this. But for sure, if we did not have a successful journey, and if our record does not speak for itself, both me and you won't be here talking about this.
Yeah.
Now, we're just answering different questions at different stages that people are now inquiring about because they did not witness what we witnessed in the past 20 years or 30 years. I don't know.
No,
I'm talking about my age, you know.
I didn't ask. Very good. And from so many stories you've seen, what is one story, either yours or from what you saw, that was really remarkable in your journey that you saw?
One story?
1, 2, 3. We still have a few minutes left.
One story. Okay.
Oh my God, I know you have many. I can feel from the blink of your eye.
Yeah, I'll tell you one story that I didn't witness, but I heard. It's you know how camels are precious to us, you know, as part of our culture, and the value of the camel can reach millions of dollars. So this one story happened in a city in the UAE, and the guy accidentally hit a camel on the road.
Oof.
And even though his car was destroyed and the camel was dead, the camel owner wanted to kill the guy, you know, out of vengeance.
I was furious. I understand.
So the man ran into a small town, and it was actually on a Friday, during Friday prayers. So everyone was in the mosque. And as he was running into the town, the other guy was chasing him. And he was like shouting, help, help, help. And this woman came out, you know, with the burqa covering her face and everything. He's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's like, I need help. Actually, the exact translation is, I need sanctuary. Not help, sanctuary.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Who is the leader here? And the lady said, we are all leaders.
Wow.
Come in, my son.
Wow, that's so powerful. Yes.
And of course, she took in a stranger. In our Arabic houses, we always have a majlis or an area where, you know, men can sit and without entering the house. So until the entire tribe of that village came out and the man came in and he's like, okay, this is what happened. It's like, okay. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the value back then, let's say 1 million dirham, dollar, whatever. It was still a big amount that the guy could never afford.
Yeah.
And the owner of the camel was very angry. So the entire tribe, who never met this person, that entire village, raised the money out of their own pockets
Wow.
just to save
A life.
a life.
Wow.
So this is one thing I will tell you honestly, you will see in not only the UAE, entire Middle East, GCC, but definitely starting from the UAE, loyalty. Loyalty to a cause. This entire village became loyal because one lady said,
Yeah.
you have
She
sanctuary.
took the decision
She took the decision.
to embrace this person.
Rather than everyone fighting her
Yeah. Everyone
and
listened
saying,
to her.
and saying, why did you do this? And we can, they followed.
Yeah.
And again, some people call it karma, some people call it luck, some people call it faith.
Yeah.
But what you give is what you get. It's normal.
Yeah.
And if you come to the UAE as a startup, as an entrepreneur, you will definitely have obstacles. You will have tough competition because you are not the only one coming. Huh?
The whole world is coming.
The whole
Get
world
ready.
is coming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you do things right and meet the right people and talk to the right people, and remember when we had this discussion, I told you one of the advices I used to give entrepreneurs when they first come here, like, don't go meet clients. Go meet your competitors first.
Yes, I remember you said that.
Find out what they're doing.
Yeah.
And based on what they're doing, you can either understand, can you be complementary or can you compete with them on a different level? And I told you, one of the startups, as soon as they met the first competitor, they got bought out.
Yes.
So instead of actually setting up a business, they sold their business here.
Yeah. That was fast.
That was fast. But again, that was one in a million maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
However, how do you know if you don't try? How do you know if you don't knock on doors?
Yeah. And when you meet the right people and you spend time doing the right thing in the country, you definitely have the loyalty as like a core value that you're saying.
And also when you meet the wrong people, and also when you do the wrong things, you end up learning.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we expect that people learn out of it, right?
They better do.
They better do. Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing, definitely, I've never heard anyone leaving the UAE complaining.
Me neither. Yeah.
If they will complain, they'll complain about their own mistakes.
Yeah, or things that they didn't foresee or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a learning journey.
Yeah.
And it's not the same with everyone. Everyone will have their own experience.
Yeah, we have a saying. I don't know if this is a saying only in Brazil. Maybe it's like globally, that when you point your finger to someone, there are three pointing back at you. Meaning that if you're complaining about something, there is also something that you could have done differently. You know, it's always like there's always an ownership from whatever consequences we have.
Yeah, no, I've heard. I think I've heard this one. I've used it many times also with people saying, "Yes, you're right. If you point one finger, then you're folding three, which means three are pointing back at you."
Yeah.
But you know the problem with fingers?
No. What are the problems with fingers?
One of the, I maybe I told you about this. One of the, I'm not gonna say failed businesses, but experiences I had is I set up a movie production company. I am still a big movie fan, you know. But it's just like you mentioned this quote right now about fingers. It reminded me of the scene in the movie Inglourious Bastards.
Mm-hmm. Amazing movie, yeah.
How did the Germans find out that the Americans were spies in that scene?
I don't remember.
I'll tell you what. It's when he ordered 3 drinks and he went 3 like this.
Mm.
And the guy told him, in Germany, we start.
Ah, yes. Oh, yeah. How you count.
How you count.
Exactly.
Again, one other small difference. This one cost the life. The difference of understanding which language is spoken in Brazil.
Yeah. Cultural nuances, right? And like hand gestures is part of a culture.
One
right?
thing.
Exactly.
One thing. Language is another thing.
Yeah.
Okay. There's again movies or TV quotes, but another lovely example I really use a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a TV show called House MD. I don't know if you watched it.
No.
The one of the episodes, Dr. House was asked by the CIA to help an agent because they did not know what he was been poisoned with, and they kept trying different things. And it's like, oh, he was in Bolivia. The guy was dying. The patient was dying, and the doctor, Dr. House, was trying to help him throughout the episode. And everything he did went wrong. Until the patient said something about, by the way, I don't regret anything. At the end of almost, the patient thought he was dying. At the end is like, you know what, it was just during a lovely festival, 40 days. And then it clicked with him. It's like, Bolivia doesn't have 40 days festivals.
Wow.
Brazil has 40 days festival. So he went back to the agents and he said, what's the difference? He's like, because in Brazil, they have nuts. Other countries, they call them Brazilian nuts.
Yeah.
But in Brazil, it will be stupid to call them Brazilian nuts. Right?
It's already there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
However, consuming it in large quantity for people who are not from there increases the selenium level in your blood. So while they thought that someone was poisoning him, he was poisoning himself because for 40 days he was having Casa de la Parava. I forgot the name of the Brazilian.
Castanha do Pará.
Castanha do Pará.
Yeah. Wow. Look at the way that things crossed, like in terms of experiences cross-border, right?
Now, if there's one lesson, forget.
And we're going to take this lesson to summarize in good style this session.
Forget the story, forget the context, forget everything. Take in mind time. It took time. And this is why I love movies in general or TV shows or even writing, reading.
Yeah.
It takes time.
It takes time.
From page 1 to page 100, it takes time.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the episode until the end of this podcast, it will take you time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't invest that time, it's 1 hour today.
Yeah.
It might be a day or two. It might be 100 days. It might be a year.
Yeah. And going back to the beginning of the conversation, when you said about Rome, the first thing that came to my mind is Rome wasn't built in a day because of the music.
It's true.
So yeah,
Rome was not built in a day.
Nothing is built like so fast. It takes time.
If anyone has been to Rome,
yeah,
and saw the Roman architecture, the roads that the Roman built does not require as much maintenance as the roads that the modern governments are building.
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, Rome was not built in a day, but when it was built, it stood.
Yeah, it lasted.
Lasted.
Yeah.
And it's still there.
Yeah. Amazing, Sultan. I cannot thank you enough because it was
pleasure.
such an insightful conversation and learning more about the UAE, you know. You have so many stories, so much background, and I really appreciate your time. As we're talking
My
about
pleasure.
time, I appreciate your time.
I honestly, I don't believe I paid you justice, but I just
No, of course it did.
I shared what I had on my mind. But again, we don't want to bore your audience. I
No,
don't want to
I'm
bore you.
pretty sure they're not going to be bored. They're going to love it. And thank
And
you so
with
much.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And anytime you need anything or your audience need anything, uh, let them know that if it's not me, it's any. I'm pretty sure any other guest you had will be more than happy to answer questions
Yeah.
and support.
Yeah. Inshallah, as you say, right? So we keep rocking.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
With pleasure.